Does anyone know a chiropractic practice that has a chiropractic nightmare? So in case you haven't watched the show, let me explain. Gordon Ramsay, an ultra-famous chef, comes into a restaurant, and then he sits down, and then he eats a meal, and then he yells at everybody. He lets you know how bad the food was and how bad the service is. And then he identifies all the problems. It could be poor management. It could be staff issues. It could be family squabbles. Does anyone know anyone in the chiropractic profession that works with their family? It could be a lack of experience, or it could be a lack of heart. And we all know that if you don't have your heart 150% in the game, you are not going to go to the next level. Am I right or am I right? So I thought to myself, what are we missing in the chiropractic profession? We are missing the Gordon Ramsay of chiropractic. We are missing ultra-successful million-dollar chiropractors who are willing to go into other doctors' practices and help to take them to the next level. So that's what I do. So as I travel the country, there's one commonality with the doctors. Maybe they want to double their practice. Maybe they want to triple their practice. Maybe they even want $1 million or $2 million practice, but they just can't get there. There's so many stops and they can't figure it out. It could be staff issues, it could be care plans, it could be cash flow, it could be money, it could be retention. There's so many different stops and blocks in our practices that if we just fix those, we can get to the next level. So today I'd like to talk about the 3 most common recurring problems in practices. They are staff issues, money issues, finance issues, and lack of children in our practices. And I promise you that if you fix these 3 problems, you'll be on your way to $1 million plus practice. Everybody in? So, I was in one of my, I'm going to refer to my moguls as, they're mogul in trainings, my clients' offices, so MITs, okay? So I'm in one of my MIT's offices, and what I do is I'm sitting at the front desk, and I'm listening to the doctor, and I'm listening to the front desk. So I'm listening to the doctor, I'm listening to how she's interacting with the patients, how the patients are interacting with the doctors, and I'm listening behind myself. And the front desk CA is sitting right here checking out the patients. But I'm faced this way. And all of a sudden, I'm thinking, is she even talking? What's going on? I'm hearing it talks like this, I don't really understand what she's saying to the patient. So I physically turned myself around to look at the CA. And the CA is like this, and she's talking to the patient. And then I see the patient put her hands on the counter and lean in forward to assist the CA in checking out. The next patient comes up, and on her chart, the doctor says, I will see you next Wednesday. See you in a week. Puts down the chart. Guess what the CA said? When are you coming back? So the next patient, and this is awesome, I was so proud of the doctor. She did a report of findings. This was about a 20-year-old college student. She was only going to be home for 2 weeks. So I heard her, she advised her care plan. It was 3 times a week for 2 weeks. And then she was going to be transferring back to college, and she'd assist her in finding a chiropractor there. So and I can even hear this, and I'm sitting next to the front desk. So she comes up front, and she says to the CA, my schedule's really busy. I'll have to call you. So what do you think the CA did? Do you think that she got the office manager? Or do you think that she grabbed the doctor? No. She just said, okay, call me. Do you think that patient came back? No. If you don't have ultra, amazing, awesome staff, you will never get to the next level. Anyone want a tip for hiring an amazing CA? Everyone today is on social media. We do videos. Have them send you a 1-minute video. Have them tell you why they like chiropractic and why they should work in your practice. So now you know 2 things. They love chiropractic and they're outgoing. So let's talk about finances. Does anyone have on their desk at the front something that says, payment due at the time of service? You guys aren't getting your payments. I'm not talking about insurance. I am talking about your cash fees or your copays. Do you know how long it takes to get that money if you don't collect it and they walk out the door? Do you know how many statements you have to send? Do you know how much time it takes for your staff to create statements, to stamp the statements, to stuff the statements, to send them? To then get a phone call a month later that says, I don't understand my statement? Collect the money at the time of service. I was in one of my MIT's offices and we were looking at their finances. We were looking at the stats from February 18 and February 19. Huge increase in numbers, huge increase in collections. But it didn't make sense to me. I'm looking at it saying you still should have collected a lot more money. Please run your 30, 60, 90-day insurance and cash reports. I want to see those tomorrow. So guess what? She calls me the next day and says that her office manager, the person who does the billing, doesn't know how to run that report. That tells me two things. First, the doctor isn't checking. And two, unless that patient is actually standing physically at the front desk, they have no idea what that patient owes. If you want to be ultra successful, you have to know your finances. You have to have your checks and balances in place. Anyone want to know how to recoup some money right now? If you have not increased your fees in the last 2 years, you're losing money right now. If you have not looked, as the doctor, at your outstanding reports each month, you're losing money right now. If you continue to see patients that have high outstanding balances, not only are you losing money, but you might be paying them. And if you discount your services here, there, and everywhere, and you know who you are, you're losing money right now. You're worth it. So let's talk about new patients. Does anybody here like new patients? I do. Does anyone here see parents? Anyone here see any parents in their practice? Do you see their kids? So I've recently developed what I like to call the kid-to-parent ratio. So let's say that you see 10 sets of parents and you see 1 set of their children. That's a 10% kid-to-parent ratio. Let's say you see 10 sets of parents and you see 3 sets of their children. That's a 30% kid-to-parent ratio. Does everyone understand that? I want you to be super honest with yourself. Do you know how many kids I see who sit in a chair and come with their parent every time to get adjusted and no one's talking about chiropractic to them? I want you to think in your head and be super honest. What is your kid-to-parent ratio? How many sets of parents? How many sets of kids? I'd like you to all stand up, please. Everyone stand up. If your kid-to-parent ratio is 0 to 30%, please sit down. And thank you everyone for, thank you. If your kid-to-parent ratio is 31 to 60%, please sit down. Okay. If your kid-to-parent ratio is 61% or higher, please sit down. I'd like you to all give yourself a round of applause for participating. I want to thank you so much, but I want us to all see here that we're not seeing enough kids. Am I right? Are you unable to convey the chiropractic message? So I was in one of my MIT's offices. It was like 3 to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I watched like 15 kids come in and no one was being adjusted. So the next day during the debriefing, I actually went up to the front desk that day and said, is it just not their day to get checked? Or are they not patients of the practice? They were not patients of the practice. So the next day I asked the doctor, why aren't you seeing these kids? And if I had a dime for every time I heard this answer, I wouldn't be a millionaire, I'd be a billionaire. It's due to finances. Really? So all 7 families had financial issues? Docs, we understand the neurological development of a child the first 6 years. In my opinion, those are the most important years for chiropractic. We all know how important that first adjustment is. Make sure you talk about chiropractic and tell the chiropractic story to all of the parents, because I'll tell you what, if they were really making a choice based on the correct knowledge, and it was really due to finances, they would all choose to have their child adjust first. What if you could double your kid-to-parent ratio? Would you increase your practice? I have a gift for you today. If you'd like to increase your practice, don't text Mogul. I now have a better. Please get a pen and write this down. Chiro Moguls with an S.com/crib notes. They're my crib notes to a mobile empire. There are 4 videos. It's a video series, and I promise if you watch these, your practice will grow. So I was reading an article about Gordon Ramsay, and it was about the Kitchen Nightmares show. There was a restaurant who was selected to participate in the program. About a week before the taping, they backed out because they thought they could do it themselves. And they thought they were okay. But guess what? 2 years later, they were in the same position they were 2 years before. I want everyone here to leave and grow your practice. Take it to the next level. It's awesome to be a part of the $1 Million Club, the $1 Million Collections Club, but I have to tell you, we all start somewhere. This is my alma mater. I love Life University. I am so proud of the education that I received here. When I went to school here, I had a 15-year-old powder blue Cutlass Sierra, and I called it Blue Car. Does anybody here watch Friends? Anyone ever seen the show Friends? Do you remember Phoebe? She would be in the cafe and she would sing, "Smelly cat, smelly cat." Everyone remember that? Okay, so we all know how hot it is in Atlanta, right? And we all know how it rains in Atlanta, right? So my car had a defective seal around the driver's window. And when it rained, the water would pour into my seat, and I had to keep garbage bags in my car to put over my seat so my clothes wouldn't get wet going to clinic or going to school. No joke. So my friends started calling my car Smelly Car, and they would sing, "Smelly car, smelly car." So that's what I got to do in school. But I love Smelly Car, and I appreciate Smelly Car. But today, I feel so excited when I go home and my garage door opens because I have 2 of my favorite cars now. I have my Ferrari. I have my Porsche. But I'm not telling you this. I'm telling you this for a reason. In chiropractic, if we talk about money, we're perceived as evil. What? If I were to ask your spouse or your kids, is it okay that your mom or your dad or your spouse works really hard for your family and makes a good living? Would they understand my message? You should be rewarded for your hard work. As a profession, we need to be wealthier. It's all about giving forward, and it's all about paying it forward, and it's all about giving back. Can you imagine if this year you put the entire college tuition away for your child? How good would that feel? How good would it feel to plan a vacation for you and your entire extended family and say, "It's my treat"? How awesome would that feel? How awesome would it be if we as a profession could give to chiropractic causes and give to our schools? How awesome would it feel to say, I gave $80,000 or $100,000 this year to Life University because I can. I like to call this my pool. How would it feel that you could beautify your campus? How good would it feel to be able to give to the sports department for the rugby players and the soccer players? How good would it feel to give to your president's circle so that he has a fund to do whatever he needs and however he sees fit at any time? How good would it feel to donate an x-ray lab so the students have the latest and greatest technology so they can go out there being badass chiropractors? We have to be wealthier as a group of chiropractors. People who say that money doesn't matter, they don't have any. or they don't have enough. There's no scarcity of money. Go out and get some. I think chiropractors fear going to the next level because of time. There are 24 hours in the day, 7 days a week, and guys, we waste so much time. And did I mention that since 2010, I've worked 2 days a week? It's about your systems, guys. My goal, my duty, my responsibility is to help other chiropractors, to inspire them to take their practice to the next level. And I hope that I've inspired you today. Thank you so much.